It was the last time he ever stepped into a boxing ring, and nobody realized it. Not us, not even Las Vegas. There was no farewell speech, no Hollywood ending, just the bright lights, the roar of a sold-out arena, and across from him, once again, Saul Canelo Alvarez. September 17, 2022. They called it a trilogy, but in reality, it was a sunset. Because Gennady Golovkin wasn't just fighting for a third time. He was crossing the final chapter of his career. He was 40 years old. 40 years old in a sport that devours youth and spits out legends. His jab was still there. The same jab that had defined an entire era. A weapon, a language. But that night, he wasn't trying to intimidate anyone anymore. He was trying to discover how much he still had left. The opening rounds felt strange, almost quiet, despite the noise of the crowd. This wasn't the Triple G who marched through opponents like an unstoppable force. The relentless pressure, the mechanical precision, the certainty, it was gone. Instead, there stood a man measuring the distance between who he once was and who he had become. Canelo was faster, sharper, younger, and Golovkin accepted it. He didn't panic. He didn't force the action. He stared time itself in the face. Then something changed. Not an explosion. Not a miraculous comeback. Just a decision. He stepped forward. He embraced the exchanges. He accepted the risk. What moved the crowd wasn't dominance anymore. It was dignity. Because in that moment, everyone understood. This fight was no longer against Canelo. It was against fading away. The judges announced the decision. Canelo won. But that night, victory no longer had a clear meaning. Golovkin didn't lower his head. He made no excuses. He slowly took off his gloves, like a man who knew he hadn't simply lost a fight. He had reached the end of something far greater. We didn't know it at the time. There was no retirement announcement, no dramatic tears, only silence. And sometimes, greatness leaves without making a sound. He walked away, standing tall, still breathing, still calm. That wasn't just the third fight with Canelo. It was the final time a man who had ruled an entire division stepped inside a boxing ring. And maybe that's the true poetry of sports. Not when a legend is born, but when a legend quietly fades away, without ever begging the spotlight to stay.